I'd like to bring this meeting of the Common Council to order. The first item on the agenda is a public hearing on additional appropriations for the general fund, second reading, and it's on ordinance 6862. Will the clerk please call roll?
Councilman Wyatt.
Here.
Councilman Cameron. Councilwoman Young.
Here.
Councilman Hayworth.
Here.
Councilman Kennedy.
Here.
Councilman Hayes.
Here.
Councilman Weicker.
Here.
Councilwoman Sanders.
Here.
Councilman Mickley.
Here. Okay. Is there anyone on the council or in the audience that would like to speak to the public hearing on ordinance 6862? This ordinance is additional appropriations to the general fund. Okay, I'm going to gavel that meeting closed. Don't anybody get angst up thinking I'm shutting the thing down, okay? All right. Being there's no further communications on the public hearing is now adjourned. At this time, we'll call the Common Council of the City of Kokomo to order, and we will start with invocation. You may rise or stay seated as you so see fit. Councilwoman Sanders.
Yes, would Pastor Jason Devils come to the podium, please, to give the invocation? He's from Judson Road Christian Church. Excuse me.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here today, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for good health and strength to fulfill our callings, for our family and friends, and a wonderful community to live in. Lord, thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of serving and representing our community. We thank you, Father, for the freedom you have blessed us with in this great nation. And Lord, we mostly thank you for loving us and pouring out your grace upon us. Lord, in your holy scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I am asking, Lord, that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. Grant them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people. Grant them a keen thirst for justice and rightness and confidence to do what is good and right. Lord, the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. And Lord, for personal peace and joy in their work and in their lives. Lord, I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Kokomo. It is in the blessed name of Jesus Christ I pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, before I proceed, I know there's some people here that want to talk before us. I'm going to sort of do some housekeeping. We've had call to order, invocation, and pledge. We will do a roll call. I will ask for approval of the minutes of the previous council meeting, and then we will come to communications. We will do any communications that come from the council, and then at that time, I will take general communications from the audience. Being there are several of you here that are most likely to talk on the same subject, I'm going to limit that to 3 minutes each. I want to hear new stuff. When I start hearing redundancy over and over and over, we're semi-intelligent people, and we can pick it up pretty quick. So we'll move on off of communications, okay? I'm not trying to stifle anybody, but I do believe in running an efficient meeting. Okay, is that fair? Okay, I see a lot of yes, and I'll nod yes too, okay? All right, at this time, would the clerk please call roll?
Councilman Wyatt.
Here.
Councilman Cameron. Councilwoman Young.
Here.
Councilman Hayworth.
Here.
Councilman Kennedy.
Here.
Councilman Hayes. Councilman
Here.
Weicker.
Here.
Councilwoman Sanders.
Here.
Councilman Mickley.
Here. Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 24th council meeting.
So moved.
Motion has been made and second to approve the minutes of April 24th. Is there any further discussion from anyone on the council or anyone in the audience? And by the way, if you we make a motion on something and you want to talk about it, you can, okay? All right, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm supposed to read about introduction of ordinance 6860, vacating right-of-way street located in the city of Kokomo. And let's see, our next meeting will be, today is the 8th, 15th, 22nd? May the 22nd.
May the 22nd.
At the same time, starting at 6 o'clock in this room, or some of you may not have known, we have what we call an informational meeting prior to the council meeting, and that's in that small conference room to the rear. At this time, is there any further communication to come from anyone on the council?
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to thank Joe Culberson for have his eyes open on the midnight shift for saving that little girl's life here a week or so ago. If you remember, it's in the paper, and Joe didn't want to be recognized as far as TV or the paper, but my hat's off to Joe because he saved a little girl's life, and I want to say thank you personally to Joe for doing that.
Well, thank you. All right. Is there any other communication?
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Mr. President.
Please.
I just want to, I know that a lot of us have dealt with rain over the past couple weekends, weekends in plural, and a lot of us had water in our basement. I just want to thank the city employees. I know Tim is here from the wastewater treatment plant, correct? They worked really hard this weekend to clean up, and even today, the light and loaders were out picking up a lot of the trash, getting the debris. I just want to thank you for your hard work.
Okay. Thank you. Councilwoman?
Yes, and Mr. President, we had Susan Jody here at our last meeting, and they had a presentation on the Straightway Horse Farm, and it's to help the underserved. I went to that. It's a wonderful ministry to help those that are in family situations that where they've been abused, so thankful that I attended that.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay. I'd like to make a brief statement before we take communication from the general audience. We've had some unusual rain. That's an understatement. I think everybody knows that. We've had 4.77 inches of rain over a 10-day straight period of measurable precipitation. That's a lot of rain. However, it's not the most we've had. It ranked number 12 in the most that we've had. There was some areas of Kokomo that at the end of a sewer line that had some issues. We also found some issues with downspouts that were connecting to sanitary sewers, and I think those are being addressed. We also are under federal and state mandate to eliminate combined sewer overflows, and some of those had to be shut off due to the rain. That caused some issues. The city has already instituted projects from 2006 to 2007 for sanitary sewer relief projects, sewer lining projects in 2008, and sanitary separation projects in 2016 and 2017 for a total of $3 million. This very council, 2 weeks ago, approximately, appropriated or gave permission for a bond to work on our sewers in the amount of $23 million. The city immediately began investigating issues related specifically to the problem, utilizing some of the televised equipment that you can put down into sewers to take a look and see where the issues are. They also dye tested each home to ensure we know where each house drains to. While this investigation is not complete, the city has found that there were moderate root blockages were found by the city and addressed. We found some homes that were determined to have downspouts draining into sanitary sewers, and those have been addressed, or at least the homeowners have been notified. The roots were removed, as I said, and one of the property owners has already removed their downspout from their sanitary sewer. Property owners who still have downspouts connected will be notified to remove them if they have not already. Well, what about the long-term plans? Projects will be undertaken to increase capacity at the wastewater treatment plant and additional wet weather flow. Nearly $30 million in projects planned, with some already underway or completed. You can see the work even as we speak at the corners of Phillips and Jefferson. They're doing some underground infrastructure improvements that will help address this issue. However, if you still feel that you have a claim against the city, you have a right as a citizen to file a tort claim. And you can get those on the City Hall on the 3rd or 2nd floor. Okay? The Common Council of the City of Kokomo, one of our main functions is to appropriate or to make sure there's money for the services that the city renders. We are the legislative body of this government. We make the laws and the ordinances and the resolutions that we all live and abide by here in Kokomo. It is the responsibility of the administration, which is also known as the executive branch, to institute those laws and maintain a safe city for all its residents. So I just wanted to make that statement beforehand. I want to hear from as many of you as we can. We're going to do this in a civil manner. And I think we can get through this and hear what most folks have to say. So when you come forward, please come to the microphone, give your name and address for the record, and try to be brief and to the point. I'll give each person 3 minutes to talk. So who would like to go first?
I will.
Okay, please.
Hi, my name's Riddell Green. I live at 106 South Forest Drive. We moved here 4 years ago, my husband and I, 4 years ago. We've been through 4 floods in our basement. We've reached out to the waste management plant and the mayor's office several times, and this is what brings us to the city council meeting tonight. This has put a hardship on not only my family, but everyone in our neighborhood. It's been stressful mentally and physically on us, and it's sad when the rains start. We have to call our neighbors when we're at work to see if our basement's flooding. I've been told by Waste Management, we know we have the problem, it's gonna cost millions to fix, and we don't have the money to fix it. But put a tort claim in, and the city knows they have the problem and will pay for it. This has happened to the city, and this has never happened because the city always turns it into the insurance company, and we get a letter from the insurance company stating that they're not going to take responsibility on this. This has been going on since 2013 for my family, but many of the neighbors a lot longer. When the city is going to help the tax-paying citizens, when is the city going to help the tax citizens of the community? We've reached out and get no answers, but we never seem to get our questions answered. I received a call on May 3rd of 2017 from a man stating he was calling on behalf of 10 Winchester. He wanted to know if he could have my email address so they could start sending me a report every day on the progress that was taking place. It's now May 8th, and I've not received one email from anyone. This is the frustration that I get, and this is why I'm called the crazy lady on the corner. We, the people, are stuck in our homes with big issues. Who would buy our home that's been flooded? If we want to sell our homes, is the city of Kokomo going to buy our homes? No. Again, thank you for your time tonight, and I hope you will make the right decision to get the problems fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, may I
Yes,
say
sir.
something? Do you live on the corner of Forest and Sycamore
I do.
with the fence around that there?
The white fence.
Okay.
I live the white fence. I have the white fence behind
Yes.
us. Yes.
I've been there many times and worked there. And you do have an issue with your sewer line also out in your yard. Yes, you do. Because I've been there, ain't I?
You've been to my house.
Not her house. Okay, I've been to your house.
You've been to my house.
You're the one that has an issue in the front yard. But anyway, as you know, Mr. Hayes talked about the CSOs and all that, separating the water from the sewer line. That should help you a lot when they get that process done. When they're gonna get it done, I don't know, but I know they're working on it. So I've been to your house many a time.
You have been in my house, and I am Richard Lightsey. I'm across the street from Riddell. I live at
Could you give your name and address, sir?
I'm Richard Lightsey. I live at 105. I own 105 South Forest Drive. I now live on 622 West Superior. My son continues to live at 105 South Forest Drive. And I've lived in that house since the end of 2000. And I can report about 9 times in which the rains come. And it is, anytime it rains in a lot, we worry and we're concerned, and the waters come up from the drain pipes. This last rain, it came up through the toilets, and I know there's some others who will talk about how the waters just came gushing up through the toilets. So I'm encouraged to hear, and as many of us, and I affirm all the improvements that are going around in Kokomo, but we who live in that area still continue to get water coming in from the city system into our basements at a significant amount. We'd like to be part of a list that gets informed and gets told how these things are being addressed, or how we can be helped in the safety problems of having that hazardous water come into our basements. So I'd
Mr.
appreciate.
President, are your downspouts hooked into the city sewer? I can't remember.
No.
What about your?
No.
No, okay. That'd
No.
help you out.
I've recently had the gutters redone, and they are not.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Whom else would like to talk, please? I think this gentleman got up first. I'm going to let him go first, and then I promise, no one will go but you next.
It's okay.
All right, give your name.
She's
and-
going to talk about the flooding. Why don't you mind waiting a minute? He's got a different issue.
Oh,
He's a separate issue.
I'm
so-
sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
Thanks, Rick, I appreciate
All
it.
right.
This whole area is, from that area, is the same neighborhood.
Dare him sit in your area. He was sitting there.
Oh, he came.
I'm teasing. Little joke, little humor. All right, go ahead.
My name is Angela Stamper, and the property I'm referencing is 1715 West Sycamore. That has been in my family. My parents bought that house in 1977. When my dad passed away, I put that property in my name in December of 2012. The entire time that my parents lived at that property, we did not have this problem other than 2003, when the entire neighborhood did. In April of 2013 is when my nightmare started. I was one that had stuff come up last Sunday as well as Thursday. I spent over 15 hours of my own time, as well as trying to incorporate who else I could get to help me get our basement under control. This has been a finished basement, one that we spent time in as a family. It was our family room. That is what we did in there. And now all of a sudden to have these problems. It was gushing up the toilet, gushing up the shower, coming up every which way, and we couldn't keep up. It is sewage. I have proof that, because I have pictures of the sewage. It's very upsetting because we have maintained our home. And I will tell you, I am one that does have my sewers or my downspouts that go down. I have no problem fixing that. However, the stench smell in the home, the property value going down, if I turn it into my insurance, I may lose insurance, my premiums are gonna go up. I have went through cancer 2 times in the last 4 years. This is very stressful for me. And it's tough. It is very, very tough. And knowing that this hasn't been an issue for 36 years prior, something's wrong because of the history I have. So I would appreciate it for my sake that we try to fix things sooner than later. And you know, if you want me to fix my downspouts, something's got to give here too. We've got to work together as a team. I can't do it myself because I'll guarantee you I can fix my downspouts, but I'll still have sewage if something's not done. So I appreciate your time and your concern.
Mr. President, does your downspouts go into the sewer like they do?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
My dad was
Well,
Jack
see,
Amos, if you know the
yes.
property.
What happens is in your situation, when your downspouts are going in there, and let's say the city does have a problem with their sewer line.
Right.
Well, when it rains on your home, that all that water from your home is coming right up in your.
And you know what,
right
I
up in-
understand that,
Yeah.
but can you explain how for 36 years prior to my parents' existence of owning that home, it
Okay,
wasn't a problem?
yes, I can explain a
Okay,
little
great.
bit of it. And what happens is they add on to the sewer line, people building, adding sewers onto the city sewer and stuff like this. And over time, with all the downspouts that's hooked to the city line, that they wasn't put in there back when they
That's
put
for a
it.
70-year-old house.
Back when it was put in there, it was okay, but today's time, since they kept adding homes down Berkeley and different areas, it overloads the system, because they thought they could tie into the city, because you was. And it just overloads it, and the sewer line can't handle it when you get 2 or 3 inches of rain.
But even if I
Now-
fix it,
Do what, ma'am?
if I go ahead, let's say I fix it,
It would help your situation. It might not solve all your problems. I'm not
And I
saying it's gonna
understand
solve
that.
your problems, but it will help you.
and I don't have a problem,
Yeah.
that was never called to my attention until
Yes,
just last week.
right, but it-
And I've not received anything in writing,
yeah.
it was verbal.
Right, but it will help you somewhat, but maybe the city's got some issues, and I'm sure if the city has issues, they will address it, because if you go down Berkeley towards Top Banana, okay, they had some big issues right there.
Right.
And the city went in, so help me, they spent a lot of money helping those people down there. Stuff that they didn't have to do, and they did it. And they're not having problems now, as far as I know right now, on down Berkeley. Because the city jumped on the bandwagon, they went in there and they done things for people that they didn't have to do. They went over backwards to help these people.
Well, I hope
And
they
the
do the
city
same
will
for
go
us.
over backwards to help you too, if they find the issue that will solve your problem.
Yes.
Okay, let's let someone else.
Complaints before.
Now, please, if we're going to talk, come to the microphone, okay? Give your name and address, ma'am.
Sorry, I'm a little short. Julie Baker, 1710 West Bennett. We live down around the corner from them. We've lived in this house over 25 years, I'm not sure exactly. We've had water problems since we've lived there. When we had the big rain where everybody flooded, we lost our basement wall. We were not able to get any help whatsoever, a little bit from FEMA, and that was about it. We had to put $60,000, $70,000 worth of new drainage systems, sump pumps, backflow valve, whatever else we had to do. We still have the problem. And somebody told Riddell the other day, just get a backflow valve, that'll solve your problems. Well, I'm here to tell you it does not, because once the sewer comes, and the city has, when they put the new sewers, I believe it was on Sycamore Street, then they redid sewers right next to our house. That's when, let me start over. Between the time of the big flood and that's getting it fixed, and then the sewer fixed, we did not have any water. When they redid the sewer next door to us, we started getting water again. And we've been in touch with the city every time it rains. Now, we did not, and we don't have as much as they got this past week, but even if it just rains a little bit, we get water. But our sump pump seems to be able to keep up with it, but the smell, everything else. So I don't know who told her about the backflow valve, but we know it does not work, because once it opens, it doesn't close. And then the water, the sewer water, we see it go out our sump pump, it comes right back in. It's, our neighbors are the same way. So, we've talked to people at the wastewater treatment. Every time it rains, my husband has. He can give you dates. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to be here. And it's going to be fixed, it's going to be fixed. We know we have a problem. Oh, this is what happened. Mr. Gunning used to come to our house every time it rained, and then once he filed a tort claim, no more. He was not allowed to come and talk to us. And he was very concerned about what was going on, but nobody else seemed to be. So now,
Mr. President.
we didn't know everybody else was having as much problem. So, now it's pretty much everybody in the neighborhood.
But you do understand when there's,
I understand.
When
Pardon me?
there's legal claims made, you can't continue the discussion until it's settled.
Even though it went against him? I guess I don't.
He works for the city.
Right, I
So
understand.
it's kind of.
But it wasn't just
But
us.
that's not
Yeah,
a-
but that's,
I'm
I mean,
just-
I'm just saying, he was very helpful in coming over. He knew it was going to rain. Sometimes he would come before it even rained and said, hey, Dave, I'm going to do this for you.
Okay, Tom,
So he
I'm
was,
sorry.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Mr. Warren.
Does your sump pump tie into the city sewer?
No.
Your sump pump don't tie into the city sewer? Does it run out on the ground?
It runs out the ground to the sidewalk.
Okay, okay,
It does not
Okay.
go directly
Okay.
into the
All right.
city.
okay.
Whom else?
Hello, I'm Julie Lewis. I live at 105 Westmoreland Drive East. And I wasn't in the neighborhood prior to the big flood. I came in directly after. And I went summers without any water problems at all. But once they did do the work on the sewers, ever since then, any type of rain I get, sometimes I get sewage, sometimes I don't. It's either a lot of water or a lot of water with sewage. And it's very disheartening to know that there's really nothing we can do at this time. And with all my neighbors, driving by last Thursday, it was every other house had a pump running outside. I have a sump pump. My hose goes down the driveway, it was tied at one time,
Goodness.
and now it's not. My plumber took care of that. It now goes out to the street. I had 5 sump pumps running Thursday night. It took me 12 hours to get the water out of my house. But I do have sewage, and I work full-time. I have to rely on other people to go to my house and check all the time, like Riddell, to make sure I don't have water coming up. And thanks to her texting me on Thursday, I did, and by the time I got home 45 minutes later, I had 4 inches. When I first got the call, I had nothing. It was just coming in. It was 4 inches. 12 hours later, I finally was able to get it cleaned. Now I've got a cleaning company in there trying to dry it out for me so it can be processed and start over again. So any assistance you can help us with, we would greatly appreciate it. What else we need to do, please let us know. We'll do our best to help you if you can help us. And I thank you for your time.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I just want to reiterate one of the things that Council President Bob Hayes said earlier, which is just 2 weeks ago, we passed the appropriation of $23 million, is that?
For a bond issue.
For a bond. And we understood the importance of it. We actually did first and second reading in one day. Had we not done that, we'd actually be doing the second reading today to pass that. So we understand, and proactively, this is before we knew the forecast, before we knew that we were going to get so much rain in one sitting. We passed that money to be appropriated and be used for sewer renovation. So,
And that's why I try to explain what the role of the city council is, what we can and cannot do. But we can appropriate money for bond issues, which we did. Okay? Now, does that help you tomorrow or the next rain, 2 weeks from now? No. But at least we've made the initial step to get a bond issued to start working on our sewer problems in Kokomo. And I wouldn't say start, continue. Okay, because it rained everywhere, not just on you guys. You guys got hit hard, and my heart goes out. I'm so sorry.
Mr. President, the one thing I've heard here that concerns me particularly is if the city made a commitment to email you updates on the progress, then I would expect that the city should be able to send an email and fulfill that. Now, to that point, $23 million is a lot of money, but it's not going to do anything in the short term by any stretch of the imagination. But we can communicate with you to try and help alleviate any miscommunication or any confusion. And it is strange to me, Mr. Wyatt, how you can go 36 years and then have a problem. But I understand it.
Yes.
I understand it.
Yes.
So I would add that I'll be glad to talk to Chris or anybody at the sanitation department about the communication, but that really needs to take place on an individual basis if that's the commitment that they made.
And Councilman Miklick, I have it down in my notes to talk to someone tomorrow.
Thanks, man.
Okay? All right.
Can I just say one more thing?
Can I hear from anybody else that wants to talk? It's sort of like you can't get seconds until everybody's been served, okay? Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Your name and address.
My name is Ryan Townsend. I live at 2503 Alpha Drive in Orleans Southwest. In 2007, my wife and I bought a split-level home. We had teenage kids at the time. With a finished basement, it gave us both the opportunity to have separate living quarters. It worked out great for us. 2013, like everybody else here, was the first time that we flooded. Raw sewage in our basement. We had several inches. To be quite honest, I took that time as just the opportunity to remodel. It was a good excuse to remodel. So I spent that year remodeling. It flooded on April 18th of 2013. April 3rd of 2014, we flooded again. I just put $30,000 worth of materials into this house, and it's underwater, under sewage again. So at this point, I gutted it, cleaned it, sprayed it with bleach, tried to kill anything that was living in the basement. My wife and I have unexplainable medical conditions right now that are very serious. And, so this goes above and beyond property for me. This is deeper. For me, what changed was we had the Kitty Run drainage project that went in place. I live directly north of Kitty Run. I cannot walk in my yard 2 weeks after rainfall without it being squishy. The water table has risen in that area significantly. I have put in a backwater prevention valve that has, for the most part, solved my issues, but I still, if that stops water coming in, but it also stops water going out. So if we use water inside the house, when there's a volume of water coming back in, obviously I'm going to flood again. I don't know what to do. We bought the house for $104,000. I'm going to give financials here. We bought it in 2007 for $104,000. In 2013, because they could not declare this a disaster zone, FEMA couldn't declare it a disaster zone. The SBA stepped in and did low interest loans. I took out a low interest loan for $35,000. So on top of my mortgage, I'm paying this low interest loan on a $104,000 house that I still owe $80,000 on, and it's not worth $50,000.
Sir. Thank you.
Let me ask one question, Mr. President.
Sure.
You think your problem is as a result of this Kitty Run?
It's when it started.
Well, that's a county project.
You guys wanted the city property.
Well,
it's city now.
I understand, but all the drainage is under. It's just like bridges in the city.
I understand
They're county
that.
responsibility. So the Kitty Run is a separate issue from what these folks are experiencing, because that is you pay. Everybody pays on there. If you look on your property tax, it's like $5 or $10. That goes directly to the county, and that is a county issue.
We are in the city of Kokomo now.
I understand, but that doesn't matter. The drains run through, or those kind of drains run through the whole county.
I agree.
It's a county, that's a county responsibility. There's something not allowing that water to flow through your drain, that Kitty Run drainage.
So should I be at the county council meeting
Yes.
at this point?
Not county
Commissioners and
council.
the
You need to go
commissioners.
to the commissioners.
I have been there.
I'm not trying to slough off your issue.
I know where
but I
you're
want to make
going.
sure you understand that those drains, it's like bridges. The city doesn't do the bridges in the city limits. The county does them because they're responsible for bridges on the streets. It seems odd, we do the streets, but they do the bridges. But that's the way it is. I just wanted to make sure you were aware
Also
of
make
that.
you aware, the surveyor in the county is responsible for the ditches.
Mr. Duncan is his
Mr.
name.
Duncan.
Dave Duncan.
Before you go to that commissioner's office, you need to go and talk to him about the Kitty Run. There may be some debris in there that's stopping it from flowing properly. but it's called a ditch assessment on your taxes that you pay that goes to maintain the runs, the ditches, everywhere in the county, regardless of whether they're in the city or in the county, outside the city limits.
Okay.
Okay?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
was any of your neighbors having any issues at the same time you was? Or
Yes.
was you the only one having
No,
issues?
no, neighbors were,
Neighbors were having
and
problems.
now,
Okay.
since I put the backwater prevention valve in, it's pushed it to a home that didn't previously have issues.
Yeah, issues to your neighbor.
Right.
Okay, could we, I'm sure there's, I want to let
But I wanted to let
everybody-
you know that that's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
A couple of
situation.
tidbits.
I understand
Talk to the surveyor
that.
and talk to the county commissioners on the ditch. The sewer things, I've read a statement to you, what we're trying to do.
Well,
And the only thing I can do, this council, is to appropriate money or appropriate the authority to issue a bond for millions of dollars, and that ain't enough, as Councilman Miklick said. We could probably appropriate 100 million, and you're never gonna solve it. You get big enough rain, and you're gonna have some issues, even with the best of systems.
I understand that. Yeah, and I filed a tort claim, and they came back with the typical answer of act of God. I understand that, but my take on this issue is if there wasn't a sewer problem to begin with, to infiltrate groundwater, I wouldn't have the problem. I'm bringing in water from somewhere, regardless of what the water table is. It shouldn't be bringing in water into my home unless there's a sewer issue.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, before I let her have a second? Anybody? Please.
I just want to say, in 2013, when we were crying out for help, why are now we have $23 million? Where was that $23 million before I spent $30,000 two times redoing our basement? I mean, we're not even using our basement now, this time, as a basement. I mean, we have a nice finished basement that we are basically doing nothing with because we're not going through this again. We don't have $30,000 to keep spending and spending when I have sewage and stormwater running all of our stuff. So why all of a sudden do we have $23 million when you didn't have that in 2013, when all of us were crying out for help? And in 2015, we came back to you and we were crying for help from you guys and didn't
come
go.
to this
You
council.
didn't come to the city council, did you?
Correct, but we went
I've
to
been
the
on the
waste
council a long
management
time.
and
I've
to
never
the
heard
mayor's
anybody.
office.
Mr. President?
No, time out.
We have continually
Time out.
spent money on sewer, unfortunately, or storm drainage and sewage, and unfortunately, it's just not been to your neighborhood yet.
Right.
So, we have, I don't know how many bond issues we have done, to keep continuously doing the projects. So that just happens to be a coincidence of the rain. We would have done that anyway, and in 2013, we did some too. In 2014, we did some. We've done these sewer projects every single year that I've been on the council. They've been in different parts of the city, perhaps. Now, I cannot answer why you didn't get a response in 2013 or 14 or 15, because you didn't come here. The only thing we can tell you now is that we have,
Excuse me, I can't hear her. What did you
So
say?
So the $23 million that was just passed 2 weeks ago that you said.
That's a
we-
constant thing.
We don't know if that's really going to be in our area to fix our area because
well, we're
you're
gonna-
fixing
as
areas
council, I
everywhere.
think you'll, now that we are very much aware of your neighborhood, that I think we'll probably try to put a little pressure
But let's put it in
on,
context here.
You know,
$23 million that we passed is to sell $23 million worth of bonds. And once that money is raised, that bond money then will go to separate sewers and storm drains. And the plan to separate them is one that is managed by the waste district and approved by the government in terms of what the runoff and the floods and the sewer district has. So it's a plan that a long-term plan, and they gave us, I think, 20 years, 25 years to separate this.
We're still paying, we are 10 years into the bond, the original one.
The original.
And we got 10 more to go to pay that one off.
This was an unfunded federal mandate, too.
That is correct. We get no money from the federal government for this. It comes out of taxpayers.
And I have one question.
Okay, I'm going to take a few more questions, and then we're going to have to move on. Councilwoman
I
Young.
had one concern, and I'm glad Randy's getting up there. I heard something about health problem. You know, I don't know anything. I mean, no, we're again, it's a separation of the sewer and the regular water. And, you know, I would always suggest, with my background, that you would maybe even want to get your water tested just to make sure everything's okay that way.
Or the health department.
The health department. So I just want to put that out there for anybody, because it is a serious thing when you have the sewer, water coming up, and the issues. So that's all.
Name and address, sir.
Randy Morris, City Controller. First of all, I'd like to say that this flooding issue has brought a great deal of attention from the press, and this is not a city of Kokomo, a Howard County. This has been a state of Indiana. I personally spoke with Homeland Security, since we do have a relationship with them, Carmen Goodman. She was concerned about our situation here in Kokomo. We should be more concerned about Hamilton County. They received the most rainfall. There are other counties in the state of Indiana that received equal, if not more, rain than us. Speaking to the bonds in particular, there is a long-term control plan. It's a 20-year plan that we are 10 years into. There are areas that are more significant than this area. My heart goes out to them for the flooding situation. I know one of our council members also had flooding in that issue. So when we start talking about these bond issues, and it is no coincidence that these federally mandated CSO separation projects are ongoing, but the financial responsibility to take on all of them at once would be devastating to a sanitary sewer and stormwater payer. So when we start looking at these bonds, and we pass them on first and second reading, it is to keep up with the federally mandated regulations that they give us zero funding towards. So without causing any more harm on sewer rates or anything, we put them in a systematic manner to deal with the problems as they occur.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more?
Let me make one, if I
comments?
could. I appreciate the fact that all of you came and made us aware. I know some of you that come up here. So, but until we know there's an issue, you know, this body can't react.
That's right.
You know, we do, you know, a couple years ago, we had an issue on Lincoln Road, if you recall. And we reacted and got that taken care of. So we will react as well as we can to you. Do you have a question, ma'am? Go ahead. Because, you know, you're welcome. Well, you can speak if you want. I'm just trying to tell you that we're going to try to put some emphasis. We'll try to put some emphasis on this issue for you folks.
Okay.
Now that we're aware of the problem. So that's what we'll try to do, and we'll work with the administration to try to do that. And see if we can, you know, we don't want this. We don't want you coming back up here complaining. We want you coming back up here saying, hey, you did a great job on something.
That doesn't happen often.
And it doesn't happen very often, of course, but it's nice every once in a while we get a little pat on the back. But we understand now what your issue is. So let us try to work with the administration and try to get that done for you.
Okay, and I want you to come up after he gets done, okay? All right, yes, sir.
Nolan Borns, I'm with City of Kokomo. I just wanted to make a quick point because I was reading it as I was listening to everyone, and I was watching in a channel from Indy here. Right in Jackson County, Which TV reported a man was swept, his vehicle was swept off the road because of flooding on Sunday. So again, to reiterate Mr. Morris's point, this wasn't unique. We had 10 straight days of rain, and I understand and sympathetic to everyone's claims. But this was an issue statewide.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Well, I think everybody understands that, but, you know, we aren't councilmen for statewide, we're councilmen for these folks here,
That's
so.
right. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Please, let's
Then we'll go.
give your
Okay.
name and address, please.
I live at 534 West Sycamore
And
Street.
you are?
Mary H. Lewis.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. When the hospital was flooded, and I don't know what that was, they fixed their problem. They built a big pit over on the southwest corner.
Retention area.
Yes. There's never been a drop of water or a pool of water in that, because every time it rains, my daughter lives on South, where do you live, Julie? Westmoreland. I'm an older lady, in case you didn't
Really?
notice.
Really? I
But
thought you were a younger lady. Go ahead.
sometimes I am.
I bet you are.
But they fixed their thing. They dug that big retention pool that has never had water in it. But the people on the east side get flooded all the time. Why don't you go find out from the hospital what they did to correct their problem, and maybe it would help correct the problem that the people on the east side
And we got
have.
Maybe their pond is supposed to have
We
water
got a
in it.
It
representative.
doesn't
here.
have any water. It's
Yeah, but
every
it's all
time it
going-
rains.
It's all going into your basement instead of their pond.
Not my basement.
Well, I understand. Maybe we better check on that pond to make sure.
You
it's
better
not,
go check on the hospital
that's
to
what
see how they
retention ponds
fixed
are
it.
supposed
That's
to
what
do.
I
It's
want to
supposed
know.
Cover the overflow.
Why could
Okay.
they do it and it can't be done on the east side of the street?
Good point.
Thank
Point
you.
well taken. All right, anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Your name and address, please.
I'm Mary Lovelace. I live at 1741 West Sycamore. I moved to Kokomo last July 1st. The best house I've ever had in my life. Lived where I was 50 years and no water. I'm a widow lady. I'm up in my 80s. I may not look it, but I can't handle those things, those problems by myself. And they did come and tell me about the downspout. I didn't know. I just moved there. But I will take care of it. But I would appreciate any help you can give, because I can't do it.
Okay, thank
We
you.
will try our best, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll try.
Try our best.
We'll
Thank
try
you.
our best. That's all we can do. All right, anyone else?
No, we have a- we have
Too
a-
late, I ran out of time.
we
No,
have a
I'm
separate-
kidding with you.
We have a separate issue.
I want to finish with the people here about the rain.
Can I have 15 more seconds?
Sure. I tell you what, I'll give you 30.
You know, I've lived in Kokomo all of my life, more than 40 years. And the area that was always hit hardest was Murden, where the ballpark is right now. What was done to resolve that issue? I went by there when my house was underwater, and it's dry as a bone,
We did about $4 million in flood mitigation.
which was supposed to have been a FEMA allocated project,
It
correct?
was, yeah, there's retention ponds there. If you notice, they had full of water.
That would have gone a long way at helping us 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you.
Probably correct.
All right, anyone else that's here on the flooding issue? If not, this gentleman has been waiting patiently, maybe impatiently, I don't know. Would you please give your name and address first?
He's got some stuff to pass.
Okay.
I told him he could pass it.
Good evening. My name is Richard Emery, 2504 Kent Avenue. And what I'm passing out is I would like the city council to address the parking ordinance. Now that Mayor Goodnight has done these kickouts and is trying to beautify the city, I think we need to address what people are doing on our streets. My military background tells me that you don't present a problem without presenting a solution. So one of the handouts is showing you what other cities are doing in the country about parking in residential areas. And then then the one-page sheet shows what I would like to see our city council do. I don't think it's too much of a stretch of the imagination. I don't think I'd be inconveniencing people very much. I just think I'd be beautifying the streets where the street cleaner would come through. He'd actually be able to clean the streets and not have to go around vehicles, because that kind of a waste of time, and that's one of the problems with the storm drains getting clogged, is because of the fact that they can't clean the streets properly. And I'd like your attention on this, please. Thank you.
I've been working with Mr. Emery and his wife on this issue. They live in Maple Crest, in case you're wondering the area.
I was just going to ask, yeah.
And they have a neighbor who has I guess his lawn mowing business, I guess that's what it is. So he has a large trailer and a pretty good sized truck that he parks in front of the house, in front of his house, which is directly across the street from their property. Which you might not think is any problem, because our ordinance says as long as it's moved.
Every 72 hours.
72 hours. Well, they move theirs about every day, obviously, unless maybe they didn't when it was raining, but what it causes is, their driveway is directly, I guess, to the west of this property, the other property. And it's also where they put their trash containers. So they can't put their trash containers, they live in an area where they have to move their trash across the street like many of us do. And so now they have to move it down the street. And I know he has asked, just as a good neighbor, to, get some relief from, but there seems to be an issue. So it becomes a neighbor-to-neighbor problem. And so Mr. Emery has actually done some pretty nice research on some things and has come up with some solutions that he would like us basically to look at our ordinance that we have currently and do some studying. So we may want to put this into committee and take a look at it, Councilman Hayes, Mr. President, and see. And they've been very patient. They've taken some pictures. I've got some pictures. I don't know whether I have them on this one or not, but I've talked to a few people in the city administration. I think they're still kind of looking into the situation. I know we've had, Teresa Kelly, I think, has gone by. But she's handcuffed by the fact that the ordinance is what it is. And Mr. Emery understands that. So I just wanted to give you a little background on that. And I know Councilman Hayworth and I have both kind of looked into this a little bit.
I think there's probably merit to looking into this and putting it in committee.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mr. Emery,
I think so too.
what I plan on doing is assigning this to one, I think we have a committee called Public Safety. And I will, I'll get a hold of the chair, give him your documents and have him put this in the committee. What the process will be, he or she will call a committee meeting, which you can attend.
Okay.
And testify at. And then we would make recommendations, and we'd also work with the city.
I like that.
And then we possibly, it could end up in a change to the existing ordinance, because we have something on the books, it's just people are getting around it. Okay?
Well, like with the trash collection thing, I personally would like to see the recyclables collected every week. Mine fills up much faster than my trash does. And number one, and number two is it's a safety issue for the trash collection truck when he has to go around vehicles all day long, as opposed to just having a straight shot down the road. And I mean, you're just asking him not to park there on the day of the trash collection. I mean, I'm sure you've had a claim against somebody, him hitting somebody or bumping into somebody or whatever.
That would be part of the committee's responsibility to look into that, okay?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
President, I agree, this is really an important thing. These are some of the issues that in my district I've dealt with, and with more of the lawn mowing businesses that are out there. I mean, if the people, every 3 days they just move it, it's not really helpful, and it's really disruptive to a lot of people. Even if they have to have their storage and have them in storage, because I can see a danger, and it certainly does put a lot of neighbors, it just is an inconvenience for a lot of reasons. So I totally agree.
And what started the original ordinance, we had problems with semi-truck drivers parking on a residential street. We were trying to stop that, and we don't have it. Back then, we didn't have as many grass cutting firms as we do on boats.
Too. Yeah, a lot of
We're trying to
boats.
stop all that. So it's time to tweak the ordinance to see if we can tighten it up to help, okay? You're welcome. Okay, is there any more communications from anyone on the council or anyone in the audience? Okay, hearing none. I do have communication. Let's see, I've already talked about the introduction of the ordinance. Is there any committee reports? Looks like there will be one once we get this going. Also, council appointments. I'd just like to acknowledge that we have, I have appointed Stephen Weichert to complete a partial term of Councilwoman Young's on the Human Rights Commission, and he's accepted that, and I've got his signature down. He's stuck with it now. Okay.
It was Councilwoman Sanders, by the way, Mr. President.
What did I say?
Councilwoman Young.
Councilwoman Sanders. They're both beautiful. I get them mixed up, okay? All right. At this time, would the clerk please read, we'll go into our ordinances. What we're going to do now, folks, we've got an ordinance and a resolution to go. You're welcome to stay, or you can take off. It's up to you, okay? All right.
Thank you very much.
I'm heartbroken. I am absolutely crushed that they are not going to stay. I'm heartbroken.
Leave them alone.
Here, I was all prepared for Mrs. Lewis to hear me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think it'd be nice if you could wait on the microphone, because I couldn't hear, understand.
She's got one, she
There's-
just needs to speak louder.
There's one right here.
Well, you put it closer, so I like to
Okay,
hear what you
and is it Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis, for that. I appreciate that, I will.
There you go.
We'll tell her to start speaking up.
And I think it'd be nice to hear what you
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's move into the ordinances. Would the clerk please read ordinance 6862 by title only?
Additional appropriations from the general fund, second reading.
Councilman Kennedy.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance 6862 on second reading. Support.
Councilman Kennedy.
As we discussed last meeting, and we did have the public hearing on this ordinance tonight, this is an additional appropriation in the amount of $1,226,250 to pay some obligations that the city has. I think you've all read it, but I'll read them just again, just in case. That's the annual lease payment on the municipal stadium in an amount of $938,000. Interest interest payment on the Riverfront District of $176,250, and interest payment for the YMCA, $112,000. That's a total of $1,226,250. And I would urge this council to pass this ordinance on second reading.
Okay, thank you. Motion has been made to pass ordinance 6862 on second reading. Is there any further discussion by anyone on the council or in the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Would the clerk please read resolution 2704 by title only?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kokomo, Indiana, approving the purchase of certain real properties.
Thank you, Councilman Mickley.
Mr. President, Resolution 2704, I'd just like to move that we adopt this as a council.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Councilman Mickley.
Mr. President, this resolution, if passed by the council, will support and encourage what they call infiltrating of building new construction within the city of Kokomo. As you know, we have received money from the state to take out blighted homes in the area, and also we've received some from the county that have been on tax rolls that could not be sold that we are demolishing. As such, that leaves holes in the various neighborhoods, and this plan is the first step in buying a property that we can then, through our city administration, lead a building effort to put in a home or two homes to help repopulate those neighborhoods and help change those neighborhoods. So with that said, I'll read the resolution. Whereas the City of Kokomo wishes to promote economic development, and whereas to ensure development occurs strategically and in a manner that encourages the highest and reuse of existing infrastructure, the city may need to purchase underdeveloped property. And whereas the city has identified a parcel of real property commonly known as 706 West Jefferson, specifically for the purchase as part of a future economic plan. Whereas the city may purchase land or structure only after the physical body of the political subdivision passes a resolution to effect that change, and whereas the city receives 2 independent appraisals for the property prior to the purchase, and whereas the physical body of the city must pass a resolution authorizing the city's purchasing agent to purchase the property. So now therefore be it resolved, the Common Council of the City of Kokomo, that the Common Council of the City of Kokomo is in fact interested in making a purchase of the property, and the city's purchasing agent is authorized to purchase the property in accordance with the laws established by the state of Indiana. And this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and after its adoption by the council of the City of Kokomo. Therefore, Mr. President, I move that we adopt this resolution as written.
Okay, a motion has been made and second to adopt Resolution 2704. Is there any communication from anyone on the council or in the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Being there's no further business to come before the council, this meeting is adjourned. And my apologies to Councilwoman Sanders and Councilwoman Young.
Hey, we have to sign. Everybody has to sign.